One of the most fascinating contributions to today's the New Wave in AI conference at the Q in New York City was from Dr. Brandon Gallas from the FDA. As you know, as we talk a lot, there is a lot on FDA's shoulders in regulating AI in healthcare, which itself is, of course, a regulated space. So it's really our pleasure to host you here, and thank you so much for your contributions.
Thanks for inviting me.
So very broadly, what do you see as the main advantages of AI these days in medical imaging?
Well, in terms of my research at the FDA, I try and put my feet in the shoes of the manufacturers and the sponsors that provide us the submissions on new devices, and try and understand the challenges and efforts that go into creating the data and analyzing the data to demonstrate that it works. It's safe and effective is the language we use. And so during those research efforts, we create data, we create tools that enable us to do these works, and we're really focused on, as government employees, being able to push that data, push that tools out to the public, because we're not trying to protect things. We're getting paid by the public. We want these tools to support industry in building better devices, take the burden of the assessment methods and the development and what the expectations at the FDA are, and let them innovate on the technology. So and we do have some programs that are really designed to highlight those tools. We have if you do a little search on the internet for regulatory science tools, there's a catalog of the things that our group has thought worthy of industry, even if they're not the highest level of vetted quality efforts. When there's nothing, something is better than nothing. So we're trying to be as helpful to industry in that way.
And thank you for that contribution. So that's a very, very valuable resource for the whole community. So in research and startup, of course. So you are not only responsible for device clearance and approval, but you are a scientist in your own regard, and you do research at the FDA. You're part of the pathology group, right?
Yes, well, it's actually the division of imaging. We think broader than just pathology. Radiology imaging is really where we were, where we have a lot of our background. AI has been kind of part of the landscape of radiology for almost 20 years now, and whereas pathology has gone digital in just the last 4 or 5. And so we've had this experience of seeing devices that support clinicians interpreting images for a long time, and now we get a new community to try and help bring those devices in pathology to market as well. And then because of that background and experience and the reputation in the agency, we get submissions of EEG devices on microscopes, all sorts of creative ways of using AI models to help clinicians make better decisions.
And these tools are desperately needed. So that's thank you.
The workload doesn't go away.
Pushing them through, yes. Especially in this new world of AI, there are, of course, a lot of new challenges as well. So what are these new regulatory issues you see that are coming into your area?
Well, bias and fairness is a big issue, and we have some research projects going on to try and understand the best practices for what to expect in test sets as well as training sets. I think, regulating devices that are continuously updating is kind of that frontier that's on its way to us, and we have draft guidance out there under the name Predetermined Change Control Plans. If we're going to be regulating these devices, this software, to update in a regular and continuous fashion, we need to understand the protocols for how those modifications will be made. They might be site-specific training. They might just try and train on more data to do better performance. But whatever that process is, we need to understand the protocols for what changes are the sponsor, the manufacturer planning, and then what are the protocols for implementing those changes. You're trying to convince peers, in a sense, statisticians, medical officers, and the like, who are at the agency just like out in the real world, and you're trying to convince these people that your device is safe and effective even when you're going to allow it to be changing over time. And that's a new thing for us, for sure, and so we're still getting started in that area.
Great. So from your point of view, and you have quite an overview what's happening in this field, what's the new frontier in AI in the clinic from your point of view?
I don't know if I could identify it. I've seen so many different creative things coming, so that's a tough question that I don't know if I have a good answer for.
And which is completely fine because there's so much and so broad. Right?
So I do engage with different groups to understand what the gaps are in the regulatory process or even the scientific technology areas. And I do hear maybe some solutions, and the opportunity to be at a conference or be in what we call at the FDA these collaborative communities. I'm a liaison to the Pathology Innovation Collaborative Community, and that group allows me to hear the issues and to hear some solutions. It gives me a chance to disseminate my work and get feedback on my work, also engage and identify new collaborators or maybe even materials that might be needed in the research I do. And then so it's a nice feedback loop with external folks, including not just medical device developers, but health providers, the people on the front line, and finally patients, to have patients in the room to talk about these issues and what are their concerns, what are their needs, and what will help them to be happy adopters of these technologies. That's what being out in the community and engaging with a collaborative community like that offers.
Brandon, thank you so much. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. And the FDA is the most important approval an AI system can get, and there's a lot of work on the FDA's shoulders. And so thank you for...
We try to keep it coming. Thank you, Tom.